Hello, fellas. We need to come on for a minute and chat a little bit while we check these beautiful clouds out, see if we can make some pictures out of clouds. Um, you remember that day we found that angel was, I didn't even see it, one of y'all caught it. That angel was above us in that Sebastian, I think the second Sebastian video I ever did, I think, maybe. And that angel was like following us in the sky as we were going. That was pretty cool. Um, but I did want to come on for a minute because there's some things on my mind. And y'all know I utilize this little bit of time I get, take a break to talk to y'all. So I did want to say a few things that are bugging me about this whole ordeal of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, because I do feel that there's some things in the very beginning of this that are some severe red flags. One of them is, you remember when he said in the beginning, I mean really early on, I think in the first week maybe, first 10 days, when he made the comment that this case would be studied for years. Remember that? He's like, this case is going to be studied for years to come. How did he know that? Right? How did he know that this case, if you really know nothing, how did you know this? You know, you really weren't there and not had one hand in any of this at all. How in God's name did you know that it would be studied for years and he wouldn't be found? Think about that. Because it makes sense, right? It's been a year, so he's been right so far. Is he going to continue to be right? I don't know. Maybe we need to ask him that question. He's the one that made the comment, and that is a severe red flag. And like we talked a little bit yesterday about the debunking of the green hoodie and the other video that they're utilizing now, you know, it's, I think if that car would have had nothing to do with this, they'd have debunked it a long time ago. You got to remember, they had that clip, 72 hours in? And another thing if you go back and read Eric Craddock's statements in the beginning on that news channel there, he clearly stated that he had a few clips that had came in. So what's the other ones, I'm wondering? Is it a different road? Is it something that shows that car leaving? Is it something that shows that car in another area of town? I don't know. But the no dog scent, not even to the trash can, goes with what I think. I don't think that child made it home from the roadhouse. I really don't. I think that's why she took those photos of him at that restaurant, knowing that that would be the last photo she had of Sebastian. Because why else can you explain that you would take a photo of a child eating? And don't say it's for ranch dressing, one of your lies, or because he ate the whole plate, another lie. Like, I know we don't believe a word they say. I don't really trust any of them, to be honest. I mean, I feel like, you know, if let me say it this, I shouldn't have said it that way. I'm sorry. I did not mean it that way. But no, Ruby. But I do have faith and belief in the Father, right? In Seth. I do. I think that he's in it for all the right reasons. I think that he is the only one trying to do anything to find his son. But if I put myself, right, which I would never want to do, but if I had to put myself in his shoes, and I was married to her as long as he was, and I knew all her ins and outs, I knew her from 13 years old all the way up. He's known her a long time, guys. He's seen a lot in his life with her. Why is he not laying out more? Because we know what we have is just a fraction of who these people really are. He knows who they really are. And if I would have been in his shoes and they would have not talked to me after the initial start of this process for weeks, oh man, I would have been laying everything out there till they talked. I would have been spilling all the beans about them. But that's just me. Because I do think that she has been following public opinion. Her stories have changed so much. I mean, even Pat Brown, the profiler, Peter Hyatt, they've all talked about him and how nothing they say adds up and the lies that are there. We know the lies are there. We're not dumb. Just like, I keep going back to that vehicle and why it hasn't been debunked. That vehicle has to play a role in this. Like he said, it has no value at that moment. But I think because by that interview, they had already figured out that what I think is that it's a dummy. I think they used that as a stunt. That was a part of their plan, was to make it look like he got in a car and left. Think about it. That was like the final piece of their puzzle. I really don't think they thought their lights were going to show up. I think they thought only one light would show up. That's why the one suspect stayed way over there the other way, thinking he wouldn't be seen. He was almost in a blind area, right? But I think that whoever that person is thought that their light wouldn't be seen. I think they really wanted this to only be one light going to that vehicle to make it look like he left with a flashlight. That's pretty much what they told. Oh, he left with a flashlight. Like everything that they said points to that video, right? I don't know why he walked out the door, which she's changed that now. She's very careful about what she says. And that's the deep breath she takes and the closing her eyes. She has to clear her mind a little bit and then put words that she wants to say in her head before she gets them out. And did y'all clearly notice in that last interview, remember I talked about it the other day, how he bailed her out every time? Every time she would get stuck, that he would say either green tea or quirky one-liners, like he was bringing up the next topic for her to talk on. Like he was helping her out with that. And that is weird. She did talk a little more, but that's only because we've been saying, why is she not talking? It's like I said, it's public opinion. That's why she's doing this. I'm waiting for Peter Hyatt and Pat Brown to break down these new speeches. I'm curious to see what they think a year later. Because a lot of what they said in the beginning of this has made a lot of sense to me. I don't know about to y'all, but to me it has. And I do feel that it'll eventually come out. I'm just wondering how long it's going to take. Because at this point, if we really take note of him saying it's going to be studied for years to come, it's liable to be years before we know anything, which means it's going to be just like Summer Wells, which is what a lot of us think. Once you hit that 12-month mark, it does drastically change. I'm sorry, it does. There's so many things coming in. Look at the little Dane case. Like all these new things that come in slowly start to take over. And I mean, we're not going to let that happen, but we're going to continue to keep everyone in the spotlight, just like we do Summer Wells. I don't care if it's been 20 years. We're still going to talk about it. Because I feel like it needs to be talked about and awareness needs to be spread. Eventually, the truth will come out. It always does. And just like the Nikki McCann case, I think the truth will come out in that case. I think they're so tight-lipped in the Nikki McCann case because they know and they're just trying to put the puzzle together. At least that's what I pray. And in this case, I feel like they have the flashlight video, the suspected vehicle that they won't debunk, which makes me believe that it is tied to this case somehow. I think it's a stunt. Like I said, I think they did that to throw everything off. Look at really what they did to throw off, because the only way they could really possibly guarantee that he would not be seen on any footage, think about what I'm fixing to say. The only way they could be 100% sure he would not be seen on any clip or video would be to get rid of him after the roadhouse before she got home. Because once she got home, there's a possibility, right? And I think that this was all part of their mastermind plan. And I think that was Katie that took that trash out. Remember, she was wearing all black that night. I think that light bulb missing was some kind of form of Ring camera, or it could have just been a floodlight, and she took it out because she didn't want someone to see the trash can, right? And I mean, I've always thought of this as two ways. Either one, Chris did stay in Memphis and Terry Bowersox took Sebastian to him, or he was there. That's why I really wish we knew if he was there, because he won't give us dates, and I think he won't give us dates because I think law enforcement knows if he was there or not, because I'm pretty sure he probably told them, knowing that they would figure it out. And that's why he wouldn't tell anybody else the dates. I think he was there that weekend. I think he probably told them he left before they went to dinner that day sometime, probably to make it look like he was gone. And it is possible. He could have drove part way back to Memphis that afternoon early, and then after the roadhouse, someone met Katie on that road, whether it be Kathy, Terry, another family member, grabbed Sebastian and took him to Chris, waiting halfway between Memphis and there. He could have just barely been out of Hendersonville waiting, right? Turned off all his devices, right? And just waited for them to bring him to him. And then when he called her at 9:43 or 9:46, which he really clarifies that point in time, that's when I think he got back to Memphis to his camper. And they visited for a few hours, and then he wanted to make sure she stayed up to make sure that that plan for that car to execute was there, to make sure that the plan went as planned. But I do not think that that car is the one that took Sebastian that night. I think he was gone beforehand. I think it was Katie taking out the trash. And I'm not putting it past her mother being involved, because it's possible. That's the one that they really wouldn't look at, right? She lives in Virginia. So yeah, it's a possibility. We know that most likely Sebastian was talking to her that morning over spaghetti pancakes and bragging to her. We know now that Seth had even done a welfare check when Sebastian had told him that grandma was there that time at that house with Chris and Katie. So we know that Katie was allowing him to see. Why don't they get her for that? Arrest her for that? Lock her up for that? Putting your child around a criminal. But I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to figure this out, and I just keep running into a brick wall. And morning dove's flying over, and I'm just at a point to where it's like, okay, it's one or two ways, right? Either that vehicle that was in that neighborhood she did carry that boy out to that vehicle and run back, or he was gone after the roadhouse. And I remember in the beginning, a lot of people were saying he didn't make it home from the roadhouse. And I remember that. And JLR being one of them. Remember, he drove that drive from the road. There were so many spots she could have pulled over. And then the dash cam, like she had all her ducks in a row, didn't she? Wow. She had all her things covered. The only thing she wasn't prepared for was the slipping that she did on camera. But like I said, I think they waited to talk just until the court in New Mexico. I think knowing that it was going to be that day when they did that Chronicles of Olivia, or if it was the next day, they wanted to come on and he wanted to say he was cleared. He's been saying he's cleared from the first week. He was telling everybody on Facebook in the first few days that he had already taken a lie detector test and passed, when he hadn't. And I don't understand how people can still side with this man knowing he lied bald-faced in the very beginning, and it's on his messages. I mean, law enforcement, I know, knows that. And I still don't believe he ever took a lie detector test. I don't. And that's my opinion. I just don't feel that he ever took one. I really don't. I think Katie did, but I don't think Katie passed. I think they told her she did, just like I think they showed him the trash truck video and not the flashlight video. I mean, that's just, of course, my opinion, but that's what I feel. If they would publish them, no, like Nancy Grace did for Seth, we know he passed. But he took a total different test too. It's just, when is it gonna? Are they just gonna allow them to keep walking free? That's what I'm wondering. Are they gonna allow them to get faith again, and then this child vanish? Is that what they're gonna do? Because I'm telling you right now, if he ends up getting faith, she'll vanish too. We know now. We know now. Katie does not really care about children at all, right? 2 abortions and Sebastian gone. Like, out of the 3 children, she doesn't have one of them. So, I mean, think about that, right? But who knows, guys? We're going to have to go back. Okay, Ruby, I'm coming. Get up. Oh. All right. She's acting silly. But, I don't know. My mind is just rambling, I think. Trying to figure this out. Trying to figure out, do they know what car that was, and that's why they haven't debunked it? Do they not know what vehicle it was, but know the car was there? I don't know. Do they have more than we think they have? I don't know at this point anymore. I just feel like they do have something, which we know they do, that flashlight video and one other whatever that second clip is. We know they have those 2, and we've never seen those 2. So, we've seen the one piece that Nick Barris got, but not the whole. I would like to see that whole entire video. Like, a couple of hours of it is what I would like to see. Like from midnight on. That's what I would like to see. So we could see if that vehicle had come in there before and driven around, or, if anything, other suspicious things were done, right? Because if you do remember, that guy that they hired did say, before that clip got released, he did say, hey, on a new video that we have, it looks to be, which we know now is just a man walking his dog. But, at that point we didn't know. When he said a shadowy figure is seen, he failed to mention that the guy's porch light, his light comes on his front porch, and he walks out with his dog. He didn't say all that. He tries to leave it open. But, the thing is law enforcement, when they got that clip, it had already been done. Like, it wasn't relevant anymore. And that's why I don't think they could show it until, they weren't able to show that clip until it was released. Like, hey, it has no value, right? And we know it has no value because Sheriff Craddock clearly said it had no value. And the only one or 2 that they have now, they're not debunking those. So I think those have relevance to the case. I really do feel that. And whether it'll come out or not, I don't know. But we don't know at this point what's going to happen. We just know that Sebastian didn't walk out of that home because there's not a scent trail, one of him. Not even to the trash can. Not even on the driveway. Inside the home, they got his scent. But of course they did. He lived inside that home. But outside, 0, which means probably been a month since the poor boy had even been in his yard. That's sad. And like they said, he had no balls or basketball or anything like that to go outside and do. Nothing. I mean, that's sad. Clearly sad that this boy was stuck inside like that, playing games and drinking green tea. And Like, those are the kind of clips that she should have put out in the very beginning so people would understand Sebastian, and she didn't. It's like they held on to things as long as they could, knowing, okay, we're going to keep this. So when they really start coming down hard on us, we'll just let this little video out, right? To try to win their hearts over. Like, they've been playing public opinion since day one. And I bet you if we could go back and look at their phones, I guarantee you they did a lot of research on the Summer Wells case. I bet you they did. I bet you they did on a lot of missing kids cases. Because I think all this started when that last CPS call was made. That's when I think the planning started. And that would have been, what, end of January, first part of February, something like that. I think that's when I believe he was mandated out of that home. Unless he can show me proof that he wasn't. I don't take his word for it, so he'd have to show me proof. Or else I'm going to say, pretty much in my opinion, he was mandated. Because, I mean, clearly, think about it, right? You know, makes no sense, right? But that comment keeps stuck in my head about him saying that. Going to be studied for years to come. How did you know that? Wow. It's like he was telling us the truth in his own roundabout way in the beginning. I think he told Seth clearly right from the get-go, right? Didn't he tell him the first day, hey, what are you going to do if this goes south? I think he was preparing Seth. I think that I don't know if that would have worked, but I'm wondering if part of that was to make Seth angry enough to assault him, like jump on him to where he could, put Seth in jail. I'm wondering that, if that's why he said that smirky comment. Because at this point, I don't know. I think they wanted, I mean, if they are the ones 100% behind this, then they did this so they would never have to worry about CPS cases. They would not have to worry about that being in the way of fighting for his daughter, which I don't think the judge now, after everybody has called and emailed that courthouse, will ever allow him to get that child again. I don't think so. He could file it all day long, but I don't think so. And I don't think that Faith will ever want to go with them anyway. Because she loves Sebastian, so I don't think she will. And I know Nina's going to fight. She's got to fight. But you know what she said in the beginning too, that we don't really look about or talk about much, is that he almost told her what happened. Like, she felt bad for not keeping him going. Because even she didn't believe him at first. So that means that he lies a lot. A lot. That she didn't even believe him on something that serious at first. That means he tells a whole lot of fibs. She thought he was trying to get out of court, right? Wow. Man, this man's full of BS, ain't he? And yeah, I said it. It's my opinion. He's full of BS. If you kicked him, he'd probably splat, right? But of course, it's just my opinion allegedly. It's not fact. It's just how I feel, and I can say my free speech and my opinions. I have that right. But some of the little smirky comments he makes, like, and she made, like, she wants everybody to pause, right? You don't have time to pause in a missing child's case. She's trying everything she can do to win the public over, but what she doesn't realize is it's not going to happen. Only their little bitty group is going to stick with them. And most of the ones that are probably sticking with them, down deep, probably feel just like we feel. And I know that there's a few of their big supporters that, are probably lurking around on everybody's channel that's talking about this child. And it's cool, it doesn't matter. Because like I always say, everybody leaves a footprint. When you come in and leave a comment, you leave an IP address. So everybody leaves a footprint for every comment they ever leave on anyone's channel. So it's not what people think, right? That's why I always tell everybody, just be careful about what you say on people's channels. And don't ever just talk about it. Everybody should be entitled to their own opinion and their own free speech. And if you believe it, fine. If you don't believe it, fine too, right? That's their opinion. That's our opinion. So it's just an opinion. We don't have facts. If we had facts, they would be in jail. That's how I see it. If they had the truth, they would be locked up. And with them not being locked up, when they didn't get locked up by January, I knew this is going to be a long day, right? It's going to be a long case. It's going to be, whew, man, I don't know. I'm getting nervous that this might be another Summer Wells. I hate to say that, but especially if he's right, be studied for years and years. I mean, come on. But I mean, we still the majority of true crimers that follow true crime, that their hearts are really in true crime, they're always going to be suspicious of these two. And so they're basically, but everything that we feel, they've caused themselves because of their mouths. Right? We don't put words in their mouth. We go by and analyze what they say, which is in every case. But for some reason, the whole world's picking on them, right? According to them. They want the world to pause. Well, it doesn't happen that way, because even Mr. Proudfoot himself said that the world doesn't stop in the very beginning of this thing. It doesn't stop. I mean, he talked more highly about Riley Strand's case and felt bad for Riley Strand, but didn't for Sebastian. That's why I thought that was odd. And I don't know. I'm wondering if, I don't know, man. It's just, them changing the date to the 25th did give me a little bit more of a, I feel like now my thought on this is probably good, right? Because now we know past the 25th, right? Which means the 3 a.m. video was the 26th. So if they would have, I think if law enforcement really had information that Sebastian was put in that car, they would have said the 26th. That's why I feel when they say the 25th, they mean, when they change a date like that, FBI and them, they change it for a reason, a good reason. And so that's why I think now that after the Roadhouse, this child was gone. And that would give them, if you think about that, that gave them a whole head start. And it would prove the point of what I said in the beginning. They had 12 hours between the Roadhouse and when they reported him missing. 12 hours, that's a lot of time. You imagine 12 hours? He hung up with her at midnight and say that Terry was up there. They could have jumped in Terry's vehicle and drove, technically 3 hours and then drove back 3 hours. They could have taken this child anywhere, guys. And that's why I do not believe he's in Hendersonville at all. I think they're smarter than that. I think they knew that place was going to be combed like crazy. I think they prepared for the worst. I think they prepared for this being a Summer Wells case. And now that the longer it goes, the cockier they get, right? Which now they feel they can come out and say, oh, we're not going to stop. Yeah, right. You stopped on day one. After you made that drive to that high school that morning and got back to that house, you stopped. You only searched for this child technically for a few minutes that morning. And I don't believe that you were searching for him. I think that was some part of the plan. I think she wanted to be gone from that house to where the three-way call was done on her cell phone and not a home phone, if they had a home phone, landline. And I think she wanted to look to the law enforcement like she was out riding around, looking. I think she realized that I need to be looking for this child when we call, man. We got to be, make it at least look like we're out looking for him. Because truly, I said it before, that's the only time she searched for this child. But she says in the next one, oh, he can be anywhere and everywhere, so we left home. That's not why you leave home. You don't leave home. You only leave home because you know that he's not coming home. So I think everybody understands that. That if they thought this child was coming home, they would have never left. Ever. No mother would leave. You could not have dragged a mother out of that house. She'd have been like, divorce me, leave. I don't care. I'm not leaving here. He could come home. No mother's going to leave and go 3 hours and a half, according to them, away. No way. Not unless that child was in Memphis, being put up somewhere at that particular time, and they utilized that time to move him again. That's possible. I thought about that. Did they have him somewhere in Memphis hidden? And, then they moved him out of Memphis. That's possible. I mean, we never know. Look at the Ronald Dumas Jr. case. Where did they take him to? Memphis. That's a bad area for trafficking. Really bad. And if they did do that and give this boy to someone, man, oh man. But they got to live with this the rest of their life. They got to answer to God. They got to look themselves in the mirror, which I still don't know how they look themselves in the mirror. But I don't think as any mother could look themselves in the mirror knowing that they never searched for their child, never begged for their child, never pleaded for their child, never gave the truth of what happened to her child. And, if she wants to win over public opinion, tell the truth. Because if she would at least come out and tell the truth, at least she would have public opinion more on her, not necessarily on her side, but at least we wouldn't, be speculating so much. But they won't give in. They're not giving in, guys. They're just like the whales. They're not giving in. Not going to happen. But anyway, I've been rambling. I got to get back to work. Y'all guys have a good one. Remember, allegedly, these are my opinions, my thoughts, my theories, my speculation, my free speech, not to reflect the channel. Y'all's comments, y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we're a big-hearted little family, and that we are. Trigger warnings, times 100 million. Justice for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. We can't give up, but we need to start looking outside this Hendersonville. We need to go to Alaska. We need to get about 100 of us together and just go to Alaska, wherever that family went, and follow their entire trail of where they went through Alaska and comb every inch of that. That's what we need to do, I think. Because that would be the only way they would be so cocky, was to have him way away. If they had him close, they wouldn't be cocky. I don't believe. They'd be nervous. And they haven't been nervous since day one. Especially with the smirky comments that he's made all the time. But I don't know. Hopefully the truth will come out soon. I hope and pray they got more than I think they got now, because I felt by now they should have already arrested him, at least for CPS abuse. That's a felony. At least charge him for that. Lock him up. Separate her from him, and they'll get the answers. She won't be able to make it without him beside her. No way. She'll slip easy. You imagine a 10 or 12 hour interrogation? She'd tell everything. Anyway, y'all guys be good. We'll talk soon. We love y'all guys, all right? Clouds are beautiful today. All right, bye.